Hi again, everyone. Scott Player Pop Gold fan here, and in this video, the series finale of Superman and Lois just dropped last night, and wow, I definitely there were a few times I cried watching the episode. It really hit me. It really hit me, and this is gonna be a full season review and my thoughts on the series finale. So let's go ahead and get into this. I want to just brush off a few nitpicks that I do have in regards to the finale, and then get on my massive positive tangent. So in regards to small nitpicks that I do have, you can say that the finale, if you've seen Supernatural, it does something similar to Supernatural in the way they end things in the finale for this show. And also, I mean, there are moments in the action sequences where you can tell it's CGI. So there are quite a few moments within action sequences, not just in the finale episode, but throughout the whole show. You can nitpick about the CGI, about in sometimes in the action sequences, and I will say though, despite that, I think what they've done with the character of Doomsday, first introduced in season 3 as this sort of bizarro version of Clark Kent. The way they handle that and the way they end that whole arc with that character in the finale, I thought was beautiful. I, I, and also you get in the first couple minutes of the series finale episode titled "It Went By So Fast." It opens from where the previous episode left off, but from a different perspective with John Henry Irons and Lana, and I thought that was a really great way to open the episode, as we get to see from the perspective of a regular citizen within Smallville, seeing all of the chaos unfolding and the destruction around them from Lana's perspective, and it was like a jump scare. It got me when the episode began, and there was this moment between Lana and John Henry Irons that they pay off later in the episode, and that was also just something so fascinating and really pulling at the heartstrings at the same time too in the latter half of the episode, and I just think that what they were able to do, with even though there can be moments of even though there can be moments of CGI that's noticeable within action sequences, I think what they were able to do with the Doomsday character, I thought was really satisfying, and it looked amazing too, despite the CGI thing. I think the character of Doomsday is probably handled the best so far compared to other shows I've seen. Like Smallville tried to doing Doomsday, and also the Krypton TV show tried doing Doomsday, and from what I've seen so far in regards to Doomsday in live action, I think this is the best that Doomsday has been handled in live action, and I just think that also with where things end with that character and with Clark, with Superman, in that moment when Doomsday puts his hand up at so close to the sun, and the sun, I think the reason why he was able to do that and have his original mind just come to consciousness at the end there was because the sun weakened him a little bit. I think that might be why. But Doomsday puts his hand up, and then Clark saw the blue eyes from Bizarro Superman coming through Doomsday, meaning that Bizarro Superman had a chance to, be in control for the last minute, and was able to allow Superman to push him into the sun, sacrificing himself. And I that was a beautiful moment. It really was. And you know, that final, once we get to that part of the episode and we get the confrontation between Lex and Superman, in Lex is in that fully armored suit that was originally John Henry Irons' suit. There's some really great action moments in the sky, and it was just so cool that we finally got something like that in live action for Clark and Lex fighting, with Lex wearing a full-bodied armored suit. And it was really an exciting action sequence, and it was so cool. And also, uh, Superman going all in, fighting for his family and for the town, and just thought that was an amazing moment. And also, at the before that action sequence takes place, there's a moment between Lois and Lex, and Lex is trying to defeat Jordan, and Lois is having it out with Lex, and just from that, I just think that Elisabeth Tulloch, she has easily become my favorite version of Lois Lane in live action. Like, I love her as this character. Her arc throughout this entire show has been so emotionally driven and so well realized and so amazingly performed by Bitsy Tulloch. I thought she was phenomenal as this character, and she really gives it her all in the finale. And yeah, and also, once you get to the latter half of the episode, and it starts to, once Lex is defeated, some time goes by. There's a 1 year later mark where John Henry Irons and Lana gets married, and I thought that was a very sweet moment and very cute moment for those characters. And I just think that, because this show didn't just focus on Superman and his family with Lois, and their kids, because of that, because the show focused even more so on various other characters like Lana Lang, and also John Henry Irons and his daughter, and various other characters from the community of Smallville, it just made the town of Smallville feel lived in. And that's one aspect of the show that I loved from beginning to end, from season 1 to this final season. And that makes the town of Smallville become a character in and of itself because of that, because it feels lived in, because we're spending so much time with all these other characters that you wouldn't normally follow in other superhero shows, which makes this show very distinct, and being a family drama first and a superhero show second. That's what I love about it. And then another passage of time goes by, and Clark is narrating the remaining bit of the story for the finale and for basically the rest of the show. And whoa, this was where I started to tear up and cry. There's, Clark is talking about how 30 years go by after defeating Lex, and wow, there are some things that happened in that little bit that really made me cry. Oh my goodness, it really hit me. And in the final moments, like in the last minute or two of the episode, when Clark is talking about how once you find that special someone that you have fallen in love with, the rest of what makes life worth living comes with that: joy, happiness, family, pleasure, forgiveness, and love. And that was such a beautiful moment. And especially when Clark opens the door and he sees Lois in that beautiful red dress, and that moment especially really made me cry. Oh my goodness, it broke me. And yeah, wow. This show has cemented a place in my heart. Easily my favorite Arrowverse show. And yes, it only had 4 seasons, but 4 seasons that were so well produced, so well written, so well acted. And this is the kind of adaptation that should have been handled the way it should be. Being something that is inspired by other works, but creating its own path, and just having such nuance within the story, and so much character development with these characters that you've followed for so long, and having it pay off in a way that's just beautiful, but also sad at the same time. And this show is wonderful. It really is. I love this show. I cannot recommend Superman and Lois enough. And, I mentioned this in my Fan Expo discussion video. I actually got a chance to talk to Bitsy Tulloch about the show for a couple minutes at the Fan Expo. Like, I got a chance to talk to her, and that alone just made this so much more special to me. Oh my goodness, like I just still can't. I still have last Saturday in my head because of how surreal that experience was. Getting a chance to talk to a few actors, and my photo op with Cameron Monaghan. Like the fact, just based on the fact alone that I got a chance to talk to Bitsy Tulloch for a few minutes about the show, just really did something that I've never felt before watching a TV show. And I absolutely love this series. I do have a few nitpicks throughout the show as a whole, and throughout the series finale. I do have a few nitpicks, but I love this show. For the longest time, Smallville was my favorite superhero show, and now, like, thinking about it, I think Superman and Lois has now topped Smallville for me. And, there's something to be said about that, because Smallville kind of paved the way for the Arrowverse, which eventually led to Superman and Lois. And another thing that I loved about this show is that it did something that Smallville was able to do, but not the movies that we've had in the last decade, and giving the message of why Superman is who he is, being a symbol of hope, a symbol of showing you why the character is the way he is and what he stands for. That's what makes this show the best interpretation of Superman, because they get that message across, not just throughout the show as a whole, but especially in the series finale. Oh my goodness, this is easily the best that they've handled the character. Like, I really do. I mean that when I say that. Like, the symbolism of just being a hopeful presence, not just for your family, but for everyone in your community, and also being just being a regular guy trying to fit in. And that's what I love about this show and about the Superman character. And throughout the 100 plus years ever since Superman's inception, in that very first detective comic that was published in 1938. And this character has stood the test for time. A lot of people will say that their favorite Superman is Christopher Reeve, and he's iconic, and so many other actors that have played the character have done such amazing jobs in their roles as well. And I genuinely believe that Tyler Hoechlin portrays one of the better versions of the character, with that symbolism in mind, and just being this hopeful and happy guy who just means so much to generations of people, ever since his introduction in 1938. And I love this show. I really do. season 4, I would definitely give an A plus. It is an A plus grade for me, and I think also, I wouldn't say that this show, if you're someone that was hoping for like a proper Arrowverse conclusion, not just for this show, but for some of the other shows, I wouldn't really think that it would have been a good idea to have Arrowverse cameos in this finale. And besides, we already had an Arrowverse cameo with Tom Cavanaugh playing Gordon Godfrey in the episode 8. So we had that already, and the finale did not need that. It did not need Arrowverse cameos, and I'm glad they didn't do it, because it told its own story, and it paid off so many different stories and characters, journeys throughout the series, and that's all that the finale needed to do. And also, I loved how in the finale we get to see this one moment in the last few moments where we see Clark and his sons, Jordan and Jonathan, fully suited up in comic book attire as like these two Superboys, essentially, with these comic book outfits. And just seeing that moment, not just with them, but also with John Henry Irons and his daughter, like all of these characters just flying in the sky, and that was such a beautiful moment too. Like, wow. And just pays off like Jordan's arc throughout the show and Jonathan's arc throughout this season, once he finally got his powers, and it was just so satisfying. I love this finale, and I love this show. This show is something so special to me. It's arguably my number one favorite superhero show that I've ever seen now, after this finale. So yes, those are all my thoughts about Superman and Lois, and I don't think any other show will ever top this. Ever. Like, I felt so much watching this show from season 1 to season 4, and especially with that experience of getting a chance to talk to Elisabeth Tulloch, just enhanced my appreciation for this show specifically. And I felt something for this show that I've only felt once or twice with other TV shows, like Bates Motel, for example. So yes, those are all my thoughts and my review of Superman and Lois season 4, the series finale, and the show as a whole. I love this series. I love it so much. So yes, those are all my thoughts. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great week. It's December now. It went by so fast. It went by so fast. Take care and have a great day. Peace.